Good morning, everyone. My name is Sydney Long, and I'm a rural business specialist with the USDA Rural Development in Virginia. Today, we're going to be talking about the Rural Energy for America program, commonly referred to as REAP. This program originated with the 2002 Farm Bill and has been funded ever since. Its purpose is really to promote energy efficiency and renewable energy development for agricultural producers and rural small businesses. Through this program, we can provide loan guarantee financing as well as grants for energy efficiency improvements and the purchase and installation of renewable energy systems. Under the REAP program, there are two types of eligible applicants. The first one is an agricultural producer. We define this as an individual or entity that receives 51% or more of their gross income directly from agricultural production. So this can include crop production, livestock, aquaculture, nurseries, dairies, any kind of forestry operations. The second type of eligible REAP applicant would be a rural small business. And if you're applying as a rural small business, you actually have to meet two definitions. The first one is that you are a for-profit small business. So we define that using SBA size standards. And then the second definition you have to meet is your project has to be located in either a rural area or non-metro community. We define that as being in a town or city with a population of 50,000 or less. There's also a link on our USDA website where you can go and type in a physical address and get an instant determination on site location eligibility. So that can be a really helpful tool. So there are two sides to this program, as I mentioned, one being energy efficiency and the other being renewable energy. Some of the types of eligible technologies on the energy efficiency side would be lighting, refrigeration, HVAC upgrades, equipment and processes, automated controls, for example, in a poultry house we've done before, any kind of building updates, really anything that is being more energy efficient could be eligible. On the renewable energy side, some types of eligible technology would be solar, wind, small hydro, anaerobic digesters, biomass, geothermal, and wave or ocean power. It's important to remember that whatever technology you're interested in has to be commercially available. Research and development projects do not qualify under this program. Under the REAP program, it's important to be aware of the specific costs that are eligible and ineligible. For eligible project costs, we can finance the purchase and installation of the equipment. It's important to remember that it cannot be used. It has to be new or refurbished. Post-application construction and facility improvements. It's also a really important aspect of this program that we cannot fund a project that has already begun or has already been completed. We have to have an application in our office, preferably determined complete and eligible before you start work on that project. Some other project costs that could be eligible, professional service fees, any engineering or architectural services, any permits and license fees, working capital and land acquisition are only eligible if you're applying for that loan guarantee, not grants. On the ineligible project costs side, it's important to remember that residential energy projects are not eligible. We can only fund business usage. In certain cases, we can entertain projects that have a business and a residence or a farming operation and a residence on the same property. We just have to make sure that the rural business or ag producer is utilizing the majority of that energy generation. Unfortunately, grant writing fees cannot be included. Any pre-application construction, like we mentioned, no lines of credit or lease payments or payments to the applicant or business owner, beneficiary, or relative are eligible. So under the REAP program, on the renewable energy side of the program for grants Grants cannot exceed 25% of the eligible project cost. So keep in mind that the applicant has to match 75% of that total project cost. For renewable energy systems, there's a minimum grant request of $2,500. This means your total project cost has to be at least $10,000. The maximum grant request for renewable energy systems would be $500,000. On the energy efficiency side of the program, the minimum grant request could be $1,500 with a total project cost of $6,000 at least or more. The maximum grant request for that energy efficiency improvement would be $250,000. If you are applying for a guaranteed loan, the minimum loan amount would be $5,000 with a max of $25 million. If you're applying for a REAP guaranteed loan, we can go up to 85% guarantee depending on the loan amount. We can do 60% for over 10 million, 70% for 5 million to 10 million, 80% for 600,000 to 5 million, and then we can go up to the full 85% on any loans that are 600,000 or less. As far as fees goes, we have a one-time guarantee fee of 1%, and then each year we do have a renewal fee of 0.25%. As far as term limits on that loan, we can do 7 years for working capital, 15 years for machinery and equipment, 30 years on real estate. It's also important to remember that 25% of project costs are required for the REAP guaranteed loan. REAP loans can fit well with another one of our RD programs, the Business and Industry Guaranteed Loan, seeing as that B&I loan can actually serve as that 25% match. So that's another option that's available. So as this is a lender-driven program, interest rates are going to be negotiated between the lender and the borrower. They can be fixed or variable, adjusted quarterly. That's something that the lender and borrower would determine, and then the lender would come to us for final approval on that. All application deadlines for fiscal year 19 have already passed. We have not received official word on REAP funding for fiscal year 2020. However, we anticipate the program to be funded with similar application deadlines as fiscal year 19. We usually have our first grant competition for applicants requesting $20,000 or less in grant funds, and that first round usually happens around the end of October. We then have a second round of grant competition, usually at the beginning of April, for applicants requesting $20,000 or more, as well as those applicants that are still interested in requesting $20,000 or less. The loan application can be submitted on a continuous rolling cycle, so any time of the year it's fine for REAP guaranteed loans. The REAP grant program is also a competitive program, which means we get applications in, we receive them, we review them, and then each application is assigned a score based on a set of criteria. We score and fund the highest scoring projects down to the lowest scoring projects until our state allocation is depleted. At this point, we've reached the end of the presentation. Thank you guys for listening and your interest in the REAP program. If you would like any more information, we encourage you to reach out and contact your state rural development energy coordinator. And there's a link listed below on the individual contacts for each state. Thank you.